Okay, so let's talk about this. Australia has just made a huge move that has everybody around the world watching. They've banned social media for anyone under 16. We're going to break down exactly what's going on. So, on one hand, the government is saying this is all about protecting young people. But on the other, you've got experts who are deeply, deeply divided on this. So, we're going to look at the ban itself, the arguments for and against, and, the real world consequences that are already starting to pop up. All right, first things first, let's get a really clear picture of what this new law actually says and does. So, this is the official name, the Social Media Minimum Age Act. But here's the really crucial detail, right? The government isn't actually the one enforcing it. Instead, they've basically turned to the social media companies and said, you have until this deadline to figure out how to block anyone under 16. And it all boils down to this one number, 16. If you're younger than that, you are legally not allowed to have a social media account in Australia. And believe me, this one simple rule is creating a massive ripple effect all across the country. So what on earth would drive lawmakers to do something this big, this widespread? Well, the answer really lies in this growing wave of concern. At its heart, this ban really does come from a genuine place. Parents, teachers, they are more and more worried about what social media is doing to youth mental health, everything from anxiety and depression to the constant threat of cyberbullying. And this parental anxiety got a huge boost from research, particularly Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation. Now, it controversially argued that there's a direct causal link between smartphones and a decline in teen mental health. It's a claim a lot of researchers dispute, but it was incredibly popular, and it absolutely fueled the political fire for this ban. But this is where things get really complicated. A lot of digital media researchers and child rights experts are saying that this ban, even though it's well-intentioned, is just fundamentally flawed and could actually do more harm than good. And this right here, this gets to the very heart of the disagreement. The ban's whole philosophy is about building a wall, keeping kids out of the digital world. But the critics, they argue we should be doing the exact opposite. We should be guiding kids within that world and focusing on making it a safer place for them to learn and to grow. They argue that a ban just completely ignores the fact that for so many young people, especially kids in rural areas or in marginalized groups, social media is an actual lifeline. It's where they find their community, it's where they get support, and it's where they learn the digital skills they absolutely need for the modern world. And here's the real kicker. The government went ahead with this ban even though its own prior investigations, where they actually talked to experts and young people, all pointed toward different solutions. So this brings us to some pretty serious and frankly completely predictable negative outcomes that are already starting to show up. Right from the start, researchers were waving some huge red flags. I mean, how do you even verify age without creating a total privacy nightmare? And if you cut kids off from their support groups on mainstream sites, where do you think they're going to go? The big fear is that they'll just be pushed into darker, riskier, and way less moderated corners of the internet. And this is the number one fear. Kids aren't just going to log off. They're going to find new, less safe, and unmoderated places to connect online. And that forces parents to try and keep up with a whole new world of apps they've never even heard of. And wouldn't you know it, this started happening almost right away. People online started pointing out that while the main apps are blocked, these far more dangerous and toxic platforms like 4chan, which is this anonymous, pretty much unmoderated image board, they're still totally accessible. It just creates a new, much riskier place to hang out. And then there was the immediate and kind of heartbreaking human cost. For a generation that uses social media like a digital scrapbook, this sudden deletion of accounts meant that teens lost years of photos and memories overnight without any warning at all. And yeah, just as predicted, many teens are not just taking this line down. Instead, they're becoming little experts at getting around the ban, using VPNs and other tools. So policy that was meant for protection is basically turning into a nationwide lesson in digital evasion. Okay, so if a blanket ban isn't the solution, then what is? Well, the experts argue there's a much more constructive way to go about this. The core idea here is all about education and slow integration, not just outright prohibition, right? You wouldn't throw a 16-year-old into the deep end of a pool if they've never had a swimming lesson. The digital world really shouldn't be any different. So researchers have laid out this really clear four-step alternative. It shifts the whole focus from banning kids to just improving their experience. This means better quality standards, using what they call child-led design, which really just means asking kids what they need to feel safe, and seriously investing in media literacy programs in schools. And here's the thing. This approach, the one that puts the responsibility on tech companies to design safer products from the get-go, has massive public support. The idea of a duty of care is way more popular than just banning everything. So, in the end, the whole debate over Australia's ban really comes down to this one fundamental question. Is our goal to build a wall around the next generation and try to isolate them from a digital world that's not going anywhere? Or is it to empower them with the skills and the resilience they need to thrive within it? It's a question every country is now watching Australia try to answer.